the coach, and the coach. After another 4-9-1 season in 1972, football Cardinal owner Bill Bidwell fired Coach Bob Holloway and went looking for a new man. When he introduced Don Coryell on a cold January 1973, the reaction was, "Don who?" Coryell was a somewhat obscure coach at San Diego State, but Big Red fans were not asking Don who very long. Coryell brought enough energy and enthusiasm to wake up a sleepy Big Red fan base. He also brought a riverboat gambler offense that football coaches still study. Many call it Air Coryell. After a so-so first season, the Big Red caught fire. For 3 seasons, 1974, 75, and 76, they won more regular season games than any NFL team. In the 1975 season, the Cardiac Cardinals won 7 games in the last minute. Jim Hart, Jackie Smith, Mel Gray, Terry Metcalf, and Jim Otis provided a lot of the fireworks. With Jim Hanifan as the offensive line coach, Dan Dierdorf, Conrad Dobler, Tom Banks, Roger Finney, and Bob Young protected Hart and opened holes for the explosive offense. The line allowed an NFL record-low 8 sacks in an 11-3 season. Coryell loved his players.
A great group of men. Put everything they've got into everything they do on every play, no matter who we're playing and who's ahead.
But a loss to the Los Angeles Rams ended the season. The Cardinals were 10-4 in 76 and 10-4 in 77. But after a 7-7 season in 1978, Coryell and Bidwell disagreed on how to run the draft and the team and parted ways.
We had no power, and or to really pick our own players or have as much input as we would like to.
Coryell went back to San Diego and coached the Chargers for 9 seasons and created the greatest passing offense in NFL history, one that is still the model for many present-day coaches. Don died 2 years ago. He was 86. Jim Hanifan was an All-American in college at California and played in the Canadian Football League for 1 season. Eventually, he was an assistant coach at Utah and California, then at San Diego State with Don Coryell. He came to St. Louis and helped develop the record-setting offensive line with the Big Red and developed a reputation as the best offensive line coach in the business. Some believe it was the best offensive line in NFL history. He left with Coryell and coached 1 year in San Diego, only to return as head coach of the football Cardinals for 6 seasons. Jim found out that Bill Bidwell had fired him at the end of the 1985 season when the locks to his office were changed at halftime of the last game of the season. Jim later coached the offensive line at Atlanta and Washington. He then returned to St. Louis to coach the Rams offensive line for 7 seasons and helped Dick Vermeil and the greatest show on turf win the Super Bowl.
Big guys, I love them. They're great people.
When the NFL Hall of Fame voters finally decided to induct an assistant coach at Canton, Jim Hanifan, the best offensive line coach in history, should be the first to walk through the doors. What does a retired coach do in his spare time? For Jim Hanifan, he cooks a mean burger. We are proud to welcome 2 great coaches, Don Coryell and Jim Hanifan, into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame.